Okay. Yung depreciation, building, furniture, and equipment, sa given niya, that is 160. Ay, sorry. Sorry, hindi pala. Taxes other than income, sa given niya is 160. Pero dito sa computation niya, 108. But kindly double check yung 1,500,000. Ano siya nag-total? Sa 108 or sa 160?
Pero sa 108.
108.
Apo.
Para ang total niya is 1,500,000.
Apo.
Okay, hold on na. Sige. It's either yung given ang may error or itong, ayun, bumalik. Itong nasa computation niya ng budget. So for the meantime, dahil yung total ay 1.5, mas matimbang yung 108 kumpara dun sa given na 160. Kasi yun yung naging total. 1,500,000. Okay, now, how can we forecast itong marketing and administrative expense? You just have to simply follow yung instruction niya on where to base variable cost and then how much is the fixed cost for each cost. So, dun sa marketing, dalawang klase yon, variable and fixed. For the variable marketing cost, yung sales commission natin is based on the numbers of units sold, and that is 6,400. And then yung other marketing cost, ganun din, ang basis niya is yung numbers of units sold. But actually, whether sinabi or hindi, whenever we compute for variable marketing cost, normally yon parating sa numbers of units sold, hindi sa number of units produced. Magkaiba yon. Kasi variable costs are incurred whenever you make a sale. So, the best base for the variable marketing cost is the numbers of units sold. Fixed marketing cost, sandali baguhin ko nga ito. Marketing cost, walang basis yan, base lang yan sa given. Since we understand that fixed cost is fixed in amount or in total regardless of the numbers of units sold or produced. Kaya copy-paste yan. Sales salaries is 100, advertising is 193, and then other is 78. And then as mentioned, all administrative costs are all fixed. Kaya copy-paste except yung 108 na taxes and other than income. 160 kasi dun sa given, pero sa total nito 1.5 lang. So we will first assume na tama yung 108 instead of 160. So ang total marketing admin expense budgeted is 1,500,000. Okay, up to marketing and admin cost, yun yung ating operating budget. We will now start creating finance budget, starting from cash budget. Bakit siya tinawag na operating? Siyempre, lahat ng binudget natin refers to the operations of the company. Bakit naman ito tinawag na finance? The following budget pertains to the sourcing or the use of funds for the financing of operations and other areas of the company. Hindi lang sa operation. Maybe in investing, maybe in financing. Kaya tinawag siyang finance budget. Like, for example, yung cash. So, maraming pwedeng paggamitan ng cash, kaya start siya ng finance budget. So, lakihan natin. Sandali lang. Yan, para kitang-kita. Yan, okay. Cash balance beginning. I think this one is given. 150,000. Yan yung December 31 last year. So ending yesterday is beginning today. Kaya cash balance beginning is 150,000. Given yon. Collections from customers, given din ito dun sa additional informations that 5,185,000 will be collected from customers. And lahat naman ng collections from customers are cash. Wala naman tayong makokolektang inventory from our customers or other than cash. Walang nagbayad ng kamatis or ng land or any equipment. Kaya all collections from customers are cash. Added yan because addition to cash receipts. Sales of asset, this pertains to the sale of equipment also in the additional information number 2, that we sell our old equipment at its net book value, and that is 25,000. That's 300,000 cost minus 275,000 accumulated depreciation. So ang cash na receive natin is 25,000. So pag in-entry mo yan, di ba, debit cash 25, debit accumulated depreciation 275, credit equipment 300,000. Okay? Walang gain or loss. So ang total collections natin is 5,210,360. And then we deduct all our budgeted disbursement. For the payment of material purchases, this is available dun sa additional information number 3, that all payable will increase by 15,000 assumed to be material purchase only. So kung nag-increase yung ating accounts payable ng 15,000 and yet we have purchases more than 15,000, or yung ay payment of cash. Nasundan ba ako doon? Ulit ba? Nasundan ba yon?
Sir, paulit nga po.
Ulit. Whenever we purchase materials, di ba ang ginagawa natin doon, debit materials or inventory or kung ano man yung binili mo. And then credit accounts payable. Di ba? Ngayon, yung accounts payable daw, 15,000 lang yung in-increase. And yet, more than 15,000 yung pinamili natin. So, pag inanalyze mo yon, ibig sabihin lang, hindi yung buong pinamili mo ay inutang mo. The rest ay binayaran mo. Ang hindi mo na lang binayaran ay yung 15,000. So, yung excess sa 15,000 ay so kung yung excess sa 15,000 ay binayaran mo, lumabas yun na cash. Kaya, yung payment for materials ay excess ng 15,000 from 1,179,000. Saan ba kasi galing yung 1,179,000 na yun? Let's go back dun sa purchases natin, ha? Ito, yung 1,179,000 na purchases natin. Pinamili natin ito. At sabi, kung pinamili natin yan at inutang natin, dapat ang nadagdag dun sa accounts payable natin, 1,179,000 din. Pero according to our additional information sa number 3, ang nadagdag lang sa accounts payable ay 15,000. So therefore, yung difference ng 1,179 at ng 15,000 ay binayaran in cash. Kaya, kunin mo yung difference nun, yun yung na-disburse na cash sa'yo. 1,164,000. Kumain ba kayo?
Opo, sir.
Yes, sir.
Di pa po.
Rinig na ba ako?
Oo, nadidinig kita.
Ayan, thank you po. Nagloloko po, sir, kanina.
Okay. So yun, ha? Kailangan mong hanapin yung lumabas na cash. I think yung kanina sa collections from customer, kaya lang madali kasi hindi hinanap given agad na ito daw yung collections from customer. Pero kung hindi ito given, how can we look for the collections from customers? Ang gawin mo, you check the accounts receivable. Kuhanin mo yung beginning, i-check mo kung merong sales on account, idagdag mo yon, and then kung may given na ending balance, i-minus mo yon, makukuha mo yung collections from customers. Nagkataon lang na mabilis ngayon kasi given agad yung collections from customer. Pero kung hindi, aalalahanin mo yung T account mo, doon mo makukuha yung collection from customer sa T account na account receivable. Ganon din itong payments for material purchases eh. T account ng accounts payable yung tinitingnan natin. So any increase dun sa accounts payable is purchase on account. Any decrease is payment of account. At when you pay, there's a decrease in cash kaya ima-minus natin yan dito. Disbursement yan sa cash. Okay, next is direct labor. Pagka nag-analyze ka, sandali lang ha, nagagalit yung aso ko. Papatayin ko lang yung aso. Okay, pag nag-analyze ka ng mga ima-minus mo mga disbursement, umpisahan mo sa mga expenses na na-incur mo o nagawa mo doon sa projected cost of sales mo hanggang sa marketing and admin cost mo. Siyempre, yung una sa sales budget mo to kinuha. Okay, yung sales ng asset, of course, wala yan sa sales budget. Pero alam mo na yan ay inflow of cash. So dito, papansinin mo yung flow nung kanyang budgeting. Inuna lahat ng production cost and then saka pa lang yung mga admin and other costs. So para bang wala kang maiiwanan kasi hindi ka pabalik-balik ng production cost and then product cost or period cost and then balik ka na naman sa product cost and then period, hindi ganun. So unahin mo muna lahat ng product cost. Pag na budget mo na o na-minus mo na lahat ng expenses or cash expenses mo ng product cost, saka ka mag-isip nung ano-ano yung mga period cost mo. Okay, so para meron kang sinusunod na proseso at wala kang maiiwanan. So ito, this relates to purchase of materials ng ating product, so part ng product cost, and then labor and then overhead. So sa labor, let's go back to the production budget. So nanggaling yung 949, no? 949,000. Ito, direct labor. So base sa ating information, we will be producing 6,500 units, and the labor cost per unit is 146 pesos. That's why we will have to pay 949,000 pesos. Sir, paano kung sinabi sa problem na hindi lahat yan ay binayaran in cash? Ima-minus mo dito yung hindi babayaran in cash. Meron ba tayong labor na pwedeng hindi bayaran in cash? Pwede naman, pero utang. Hindi babayaran ng cash or babayaran ng other than cash, kung hindi pa lang sila nababayaran. And that is an accrued salaries. So dito we will assume na for the entire year, nabayaran lahat ng labor cost natin. Kaya lahat ay minus sa cash. Okay, so yun yung complication niya. Unless there's an accrued salaries for labor, therefore you have to deduct kasi hindi pa yun bayad ng cash. And then overhead, 850,935. How did we get 850? Let's go back to the production budget. Ang ating total overhead ay 1,130,935. Okay? And then you check the composition of your manufacturing overhead. If all the components are cash. Indirect supplies, cash to malamang binili. Materials handling, other indirect labor, supervisory labor, maintenance, plant administration, utilities, pwedeng cash. Depreciation, definitely not cash, pero part of your manufacturing overhead. So, lagyan ko ng kulay. Hindi yan cash. Insurance, posibleng bayaran in cash. Property taxes, pwedeng cash. Others, pwedeng cash unless explicitly stated na non-cash. So mukhang yung 280 lang ang hindi cash. Kaya yung 1,130,000 natin, hindi yan lahat cash. Tanggalin mo yung non-cash and that is 280. Kaya ang ating manufacturing overhead cash expense is 850,935. Okay. Dito tayo magkakaproblema. Marketing and admin cost. 1,500,000 ang pinili natin. And then ganun uli ang proseso, check if there are components that is non-cash. Cash, possible cash, except buildings. I mean, depreciation for buildings, furniture, and equipment. 94,000. So, palitan natin to 1,500,000. Gulo-gulo kasi niya. 1,500,000 minus 94,000. Hindi ko alam ang sagot. Magkano yun?
Bali sir, 1,552 po yung ginamit ni Cabrera.
Oo, para tumama doon sa 1,458, no?
Opo, sir.
Oo. Hindi na ngayon natin alam alin talaga ang tama. 1.5 o yung 1,552. Anyways, let's try yung 1,500,000 muna, ha? Magkano yun?
1,406 po.
1,406. Hindi na rin parehas, no? Nakakaasar. Anyway, just follow the process. Yun lang naman ang mahalaga. At least we understand medyo may error sa mga figures. But what is important is the process. So again, check your marketing and admin cost. Check the component. Alin dyan yung non-cash. So deduct mo yung non-cash. Kaya minus 94. Yung 94 kasi yung depreciation. Lagyan natin ng red. Yan.
Sir, doon po sa Schedule 7, may correction po tayo doon last discussion eh.
Schedule 7 is yung marketing and admin.
Opo, sir, doon po
Pinalitan na po natin yung taxes,
yung
sir.
taxes. Opo.
Okay. Ginawa nating 160.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yung po yung given 160 po.
Okay, sige, let's try ha. 1552, 1552. Okay, so for the meantime, medyo tumatama. Ganun ba? 104, merong 65. 1130 sa production budget 935 minus 280,000 equals 850,935. Tama ba to? O 851 lang?
Diyan po, sir, ni-round off po ni Cabrera.
Oh my God. Was there an instruction to round it off?
Wala po ata,
Wala,
sir.
no? Oo. Sige. Okay. So, kung merong instructions, then you follow the instructions. 851. In the meantime, okay na tayo dyan, no? Kasi yan yung tamang figure. And then, payment of tax. Payment of income tax. 252. I think dun sa additional information explicitly given yung 252. But what if wala na naman tong given na to? All you have to do is to check income tax payable or taxes payable para lang din siyang T-account nung accounts payable. You check the decrease in the balance. Kasi any decrease on the balance of the tax payable is of course payment. And then dividend, explicitly given also in information number 5, 140,000. In case hindi given, alam mo namang computing yung dividends. No? Check the numbers of shares outstanding multiplied by the dividend per share. Yun yung dividends na pamimigay na cash dividend. Unless hindi rin sinabing cash dividend, wag mong isama dito kasi hindi yun distributed cash. Pwede ba yun, sir? Dividend na hindi cash? Yes. We can also offer stock dividends, property dividends. Reduction in long-term debt. This is long-term payables na babayaran natin. So I think there's an information na yung current portion ng long-term debt should be settled at the end of the year, and that is 83,000. So binayaran yung 83,000. Acquisitions of new asset. This is related to information number 2, na after selling our old asset, we purchased new asset in the amount of 320,000. So total disbursement is 5,216,935. Ang net cash balance as of December 31 is 143,065. Kay Cabrera is na round off siya na 143,000. Next, budgeted income statement. Kailangan lakihan natin. . Yan. Okay, so gagawa na tayo ng pro forma financial statements natin. And whenever you do a forecasted or budgeted financial statement, you always start from the income statement. So, sales, given, cost of sales. Yes, no? Schedule 1, schedule, ano ba yung cost of? Schedule 1 yung sales. Schedule 5 yung cost of sales. So, gross profit, pag mo hanapin sa schedule mo to, minus mo to. Ito, minus to, equals 1,920,000. That's marketing and admin expense. Nasa schedule mo to. Equals net operating profit before interest and tax. And then you deduct the interest expense. That's 576,000 plus the current portion of the long-term debt times 8% times the time, 12 over 12 or 1 year. 52,720. I think meron na naman siyang ginawang rounding off sa kanya 52,000 lang, no? At wag niyo nang awayin kung parang mali yung pagkaka-round off niya kasi 720 dapat 53,000, ano? Tama ba? When we round off 52,000, tinanggal mo yung 720, dapat 53 eh. Pero,
Opo.
oo,
52 daw.
patawarin na natin siya. Okay, so 52,720. Nilagay ko yung mga exact para hindi tayo malito. Ito uli, yung 1552. Sige na nga, gayahin ko na nga yung 5. Ano ba yung ginawa? 1552, no? Tama pala. Yes, okay. Okay, assuming tinama natin yung mga figure. So, eksaktong 552,720. So, net income before tax minus tax. Dito tayo magkakaroon ng difference talaga kasi yung sa kanya, medyo malaki yung naging base ng tax niya eh, 368,000. Sa atin, medyo lumiit na 315,000 times 35%. That's 110,000. Sa kanya, 128. So talagang medyo lalaki yung difference natin pagdating sa income. Kasi yung basis ng tax, medyo bumaba na sa atin. Bakit bumaba? Kasi ang laki ng minus natin expense. Dagdagan ng 52,000. Okay? Hindi na-absorb nung cost of sales kasi ang difference lang naman magkano 10,000 o 1,000. Kaya lumiit na ng gusto yung ating net income after tax. Let's see na lang kung anong magiging effect nito sa balance sheet. But anyway, so sa income statement budgeting, karamihan ay pipick upin mo na lang dun sa mga schedule na nagawa mo. And then yung iba, interest and tax, you just have to compute it. Okay, ngayon, wag mong ikutin na sabihin mo, sir, di ba po yung interest expense is also an expense? Bakit po hindi nakasama dun sa budgeted ng marketing and admin expense? Tama ka naman dun, pero huli mo siyang idadagdag kasi how can you compute for the interest expense kung hindi pa tapos yung taon? Again, when you compute for the interest, ang formula niya ay P times R times T. So kung hindi mo pa mako-compute yung time, wala pa yung time na dumaan, di hindi mo siya mako-compute. Kaya mag-iikot-ikot ka. Plus, pag dinagdag mo agad sa marketing and admin expense na may interest na agad dito, and then you will again deduct the interest, magdodoble ka naman. Okay? And then papatawan mo yung buwis yung understated mong net income. So sa presentation, wala munang interest expense dun sa admin expense mo. Pagdating sa income statement, budgeted, tsaka mo pa lang yan computein. Pwede mo nang idagdag doon sa admin expense, pero hindi dito sa ginawa mong budgeted. Okay? Next. Balance sheet.
Sir, question lang po dun sa interest expense.
Sige, go ahead.
Saan mo ba galing yun?
Okay. Let's compute yung 52,720. Kay Cabrera is 52,000, no? Okay. Yung 83, okay tayo doon. Yun yung current portion ng long-term debt natin. Nakita nyo ba yun? 83,000? Yes. Tapos yung long-term liabilities natin, 576, nandun yun sa beginning balance ng tawag dyan, income ng financial position natin. Nasa page 108 parehas. 576 at saka 83.
Okay, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. Siguro, para parati mo siyang maaalala na merong interest is whenever you read a balance sheet at meron siyang debt, automatic, isipin mo ay may interest ito. Hindi pwedeng walang interest. Imposibleng meron kang debt and yet wala kang interest. Ano pa yung mga automatic? Whenever you see non-current asset like equipment, properties, ganyan, automatic ay may accumulated depreciation to. Okay? Accounts receivable ay meron tong allowance for bad debts. Yan yung mga automatic na kahit hindi pine-present sa given, iisipin mo meron ito. Imposibleng wala. Okay, unless sinabi explicitly na walang allowance, walang accumulated, and so on and so on. Okay. Balance sheet. Dali lang, lakihan natin. Dito na may difference kasi hindi pare-parehas eh. Yan. Okay. So, umpisahan natin sa cash budget. 143, 143. Okay. Accounts receivable. Ba't naging 155? We have a beginning balance of 220,000. Given yon. And then, based on our additional information, there will be a sale of 6,400 units at 800, and all sales are on accounts. Kaya dagdag yon, 5,120,000. And then we have a total collections of 5,185,000. Kaya ang ending balance ng ating account receivable is 155,000. Nasusundan?
Opo, sir.
Okay. Inventories. We have 3 kinds of inventories. Materials, work in process, and finished goods inventory. Kasi manufacturing tayo. So, dun muna tayo sa raw materials. Sa raw materials natin, dalawang klase yung raw materials natin. Materials R and material S. Doon sa material R, there is an ending inventory of 1,300. Saan galing yun? Saan natin makikita yun? Balikan mo yung production budget mo. Okay. Ito, merong desired ending inventory ang raw materials natin na 1,300. And then yung material S is 4,600. You multiply it by its cost na 3 pesos. Kano nga yung cost niyan? 10 pesos and 30 pesos. So meron ka ng dalawa. Isa lang, materials. Tatlo yung ating inventory, materials, work in process, and finished goods. So in terms of materials, meron ka na dalawa, R and S, at 10 pesos and 30 pesos. Next, work in process. Wala tayong work in process according to our data, walang work in process end. Okay, and then finished goods. Meron tayo niyan. Finished goods end. 1,000 at 500 or 499.99. Saan ba nanggaling yung 499.99 or 500 na yun? Nasundan nyo ba yun kung saan nakuha yung 500 na cost ng ating ending inventory? Hindi pa.
Pero hindi pa.
Okay, very good. Yung 500 pesos na yun, although dun sa given, ang binigyan ng cost talaga is yung beginning 500, explicit binigay yan, Pero yung 500 na pinang-multiply natin sa ending inventory, which is actually hindi naman buong 500, 499.99 talaga yun. Ganito yun kung paano na-compute. Una, ang ating product cost ay raw materials, labor, and overhead. Okay. Kano ba yung raw materials natin? Check natin sa production budget. Ang unit price ng bawat R ay 10 pesos at ang bawat S ay 30 pesos. Ilan bang R ang magagamit sa isang unit at ilang S ang magagamit sa isang unit? 3 R, 5 S. Okay? Nasusundan ba? Ulit. Ang unit price ng R ay 10. Ang unit price ng S ay 30. Para makaproduce tayo ng isang unit, kailangan natin ng 3 R, 5 S. So, 3 R sa 10 pesos, that's 30 pesos. 5 S sa 30 pesos, that's 150 pesos. So, 150 plus 30 is 180. Okay ba tayo doon? 180. Ang kinocompute natin is yung unit cost na 499 o 500. Ulit ba? Ulit ba? Joke lang. Ulit ba?
Okay lang po.
Okay na. Okay ha. Saan nanggagaling yung 180? Angat ko nga. Yan. Yung labor, magkano yung labor per unit? Balikan natin itong production budget natin. Ito. Direct labor, mali spelling ko. Direct labor per unit. Number. Okay. Direct labor cost per unit. Na isang unit na yan. Wala ka nang gagawin dyan. Yung 146 is for the unit na na-produce na. Kaya yung cost unit cost of the direct labor is 146. Okay, 146. Overhead na lang. Okay, balikan natin dito. Dito sa overhead, ang total natin ay 1,130,935. Pero this 1,130,935 is composed of the variable overhead and the fixed overhead. Okay? So, hindi natin pwedeng i-divide agad yung 1,130,000 sa numbers of units produced, which is 6,500,000, kasi ito, per unit ito eh. O, ibig sabihin, wag nating isama yun. Ito yun, 585, 907, 5.07. And then, para makuha mo yung total ng, sa fix naman, total mo itong lahat ng fix, saka mo i-divide doon sa numbers of units produced, which is 6,500. Magkano yun? Paki-divide nga. 175 plus 85 plus 173 plus 87 plus 280 plus 43 plus 117 plus 41 divide by 65.
154 po.
154?
Yes po.
Okay, so 154. Okay. Sabi niya, andyan naman pala, pinag-divide pa ako. Sandali ha, i-add natin. Saan ba yun? Data. Yan. So, i-add ko ngayon yung variable overhead cost per unit and fixed cost per unit. Although in concept lang yung fixed cost per unit ha, wala talagang ganun. The 173.99 ang total cost ng overhead per unit. Okay, so dagdag natin 173.99. 173.99. Okay, total na natin ito. Ito na yung total product cost. Karan 499.99 or ni-round off niya uli sa 500. Kaya ending inventory is 500,000. So last time I did not explain to you where did she get yung 500,000. Basta 1,000 per unit, 1,000 units times 500 pesos ang ginawa natin. Pero hindi ko na-explain saan nakuha yung 500. Yung 500 na isa, given ito. But this one is for the beginning inventory. Beginning finished goods. But ito, sir, multiply agad sa 500. Hindi ko agad sinabi noon, pero yung computation noon ay ito. Okay, or 500. Now, sir, may complication ba yan? Yes. Alam mo naman sa accounting, maraming komplikado. Compute for the overhead. We use 6,500 as our denominator to compute for the fixed cost per unit. But it is not always the case. Kasi yung denominator natin dito na ginamit is the actual production of 6,500. But there is also what you call normal production. So, magkaiba yun. So, ano yung normal, ano yung actual? Ganito yon. Say, for example, yung room natin, o yung kung nasan ka ngayon, say that is 50 square meters. And that room can actually produce, say, 5,000 units, and yet, you actually produce only say 4,000 units, magkaiba na ngayon yun. Yung actual produce mo is 4,000, but your normal production should have been 5,000. So, pag merong ganong data na merong normal at merong actual, anong gagamitin kong pang-divide sa fixed cost? Ang gagamitin mo ay yung normal production. Sir, bakit yung normal, hindi yung actual? Kasi po, nung binudget natin ang depreciation, ang utilities, ang lahat ng fixed cost, we assume na we will operate in our normal capacity, and that is yung 5,000, hindi sa actual production na 4,000. Kaya ang basis nito ay yung normal production. Okay pa ba kayo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, sir, yung actual is 4,000, yung normal is 5,000. Is it possible that a plant with a normal capacity of 5,000 can actually produce 6,000 units? Is it possible? Yes, it is, but na-overuse mo yung capacity ng plant mo. Ang normal sa kanya, 5,000, and yet, nasobrahan ka ng paggamit, nakapag-produce ka ng 6,000. So, is it possible? Yes, it is, but may complication yun, na overuse mo yung capacity. Maaaring hindi mo pinagpahinga yung mga tao, nagbayad ka ng malaki kasi pinag-overtime mo sila, yung machine mo, instead of meron siyang break time na 8 hours, nawala ng break time, and so on and so on. Sinagad mo yung capacity ng plant mo. Okay? So, in the future, we will deal with this kind of complication, normal capacity and actual capacity. Let us now go back to our budget. So yung 1,000 at 500, this is finished goods inventory. These are materials inventory. Wala tayong work in process inventory. So ang total niyan, 651,000. Okay? Ang complicated naman yan. Current asset, other current asset. Wag mo nang pahirapan ng sarili mo, given yan, walang namang nangyari diyang pagbabago. So, 23,000. So, total current is 972,065. Next, PPE. Meron bang changes dito? Yes. Nagbenta and bumili tayo. So, beginning balance is 2,475,000. We disposed 300,000. That's at cost. Huwag kang malilito doon. Baka ang i-minus mo lang yung 25,000. Mamamali ka. Yung 25,000 is yung cash na na-receive mo, and that is the net book value. Huwag mong kuhanin yun kasi yung 275, yun yung ima-minus mo naman sa accumulated mo. So, hindi yun dun sa cost ng property, plant, and equipment. Yung 300 ang buong ima-minus, and then idagdag mo yung cost ng binili mo, 320,000. So, ang total PPE na natin is 2,495,000. And then dito na yung accumulated depreciation mo, beginning 850, disposal of 275, meron tayong recognition of depreciation for overhead and marketing and admin expense. Isang 280, saka isang 94. Okay? Yung 280 ay galing sa production. Let me double check. Ayun. And then yung 94 galing sa marketing. Ayun. So total accumulated is 949. Net book value is 1,546,000. Total assets is 2,518,065. Okay. Liabilities and equities. Current liabilities, accounts payable. Alam na alam mo yan. Hindi yan copy-paste. Although meron dun sa additional information that there's an increase of 15,000 from 140 plus 15, 155,000. Okay. Taxes payable. Okay. Taxes payable, beginning of 156,000. Okay, given yun. Plus our computed income tax for the income statement. Sandali. Dito kasi kay Cabrera, ang kanyang na-compute ay 128,000. Sa atin, ang na-compute natin ay 110,370.75. Ang gagawin natin dito. Again, just follow the process. Okay? Anong dadagdag natin dun sa beginning balance? Yung computed income tax payable natin sa income statement natin. And then, minus yung payment ng tax. Given ito dun sa additional information, 252,000. Okay. And the difference is 32,000. Mali na rin yata ito eh. Let us try, ha? Try natin itong tama. Pero hindi na magbabalanse. For sure, hindi na magbabalanse. Dito lang sa cash natin, hindi na magbabalanse ng 65. Anyway, so 32. Again, just follow the process. Next, nakakatuwa, no? Budgeting pero hindi na budget. Total current liabilities, wala na tayong current portion ng long-term debt dahil we pay for it already, so 187,000. Long-term liabilities, 576. Sir, meron ba yung changes? I think wala. Let me check. Yes, wala. No? Ang binayaran lang is yung current portion, so 576. So total liabilities is 763. And then share capital, walang changes, walang information that there's a change. Retained earnings, beginning balance is 1,305,000. We have a net income of 238,774. Sir, di ba ang net income is 100 plus na lang? Yung kasing inad niya ay before interest. Let me double check. And the after interest and after tax. Kaso, yun nga, hindi tayo nagbabalanse dun eh. Anyway, so, alam nyo naman yung retained earnings i-account nyo, no? Ang mag-i-increase doon is yung net income. Ang mag-i-decrease doon is net loss or dividends paid. Or declared dividends. Declared dividends. Yung 140 is our dividends. $140. Okay, so ang net amount or ending balance of the retained earnings is 1,405,000. Total, may difference lang tayo 65 pesos.
Sir, excuse me po. Saan po ulit galing yung 238774?
Net income, 240,000 yung kay Cabrera. Pero yes, if you will follow yung 35% ng 368, hindi yun 128. Tama?
Yes, sir.
Oo. So, yun. Nira-round off kasi niya. So, nagkagulo-gulo. What do you prefer para madaling masundan? Kopyahin ko na lang kaya yung 240 para madaling masundan. Bati ito, kopyahin ko na lang din para sinundan yung mali.
Sir, ang ginagawa po ni Cabrera, yung subtotal, naka-round off. Tapos yung sa susunod, hindi na po pag ginamit.
Oo nga eh. Oo. So, kaya natin, okay na yun. Basta ang mahalaga na sundan natin yung process niya. Okay, so that is finance budget. And then, when you combine all of your budgets, operating budget and finance budget, that will be your master budget. Kaya sa office or when you already work and you are asked to make a master budget, lahat yon from operating up to finance budget, kailangan mong gawin. Okay? Meron pa ba kayong gustong itanong sa budgeting?
Sir, si Joshua daw po may question.
Go ahead, Josh.
Wala po, sir. Gulat naman ako.
Okay. Let's go now to the other parts of the slides. Sandali ah. Naubusan na ako ng boses. Okay. There are other organizations that may have a different ways of preparing their budgets. May katao. Yung aso ko pag nakakarinig ng nagtatao po nagagalit eh. Sandali lang. Okay. Again, there are certain types of organization na they have a different ways of doing their budgets. Pero yung proseso of following the bases, parehas lang. You just have to set up kung saan mo i-base yung budget mo. Katulad kanina, yung sinabi ko about the normal capacity and actual capacity. Yung iba, ganun ang ginagawa, regardless of the actual, parating yung normal ang ginagamit. So, meron ding mga other organizations na iba rin yung ginagamit na base. Pero again, yung proseso parehas lang. Get the base, multiply ko ano yung gusto mong percentage of the budget. So sa service industry, since wala naman tayong product cost, ang pinaka-product kasi niya dito is yung service mo, at hindi mo naman siya na-inventory. So medyo iba yung magiging focus ng budgeting mo. And sometimes you cannot quantify it, katulad ng those personnel or services. So you have to look at your personnel's skills, yung mga employees mo, their competencies, ano yung dapat nilang talents or skills na nasa kanila. Kasi siya yung magiging provider mo ng services. So, hindi mo naman yan makakuantify. Pero, you have to budget also in a way na, halimbawa, ang negosyo mo say spa, you provide massage. So, kung this is just an hypothetical example ha. Say, kung meron kang masseurs for the hands, wala kang masseurs for the feet, kunyari lang may ganung di hindi kompleto yung services mo. So you look at your skills and competencies of your employees. For not-for-profit organization, their primary purpose is actually not to earn any profit, kaya nga siya not-for-profit eh. Their primary purpose is just to provide the services or the help na gusto nilang i-provide doon sa kanilang mga beneficiaries. Live and Legend. Clemente, kanina ba yun? Yung PM mo? Naririnig mo na ba kami?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So, sa not-for-profit, wala talagang clear standards on how to measure the performance in delivering their services. Kasi nga hindi katulad ng mga for-profit dahil ang primary purpose is to earn, we have to provide them standards of recognition for income and expense. Dahil yun yung primary purpose niya to earn an income. Sa not-for-profit, dahil hindi yan ang purpose nila, basta ma-provide nila yung kanilang services, okay na sa kanila yun, kahit hindi kumita. So, sa ganyang cases, ang nangyayari, yung kanilang budget, instead of using it as a control measure to check whether they are still functioning or operating in the budget, hindi nagiging ganun yung nagiging purpose ng budget. Instead, it serves as your authorization document. Meaning, pag nakita nila na may budget na, ang gagawin nila, ito na yung sign na pwede na tayong mag-operate. Nagiging hindi siya control kung hindi authorization to use the funds. Katulad halimbawa sa gobyerno. The government is not for profit. We don't want to earn anything. So pagka binigyan na ng budget ang isang say munisipyo, binigyan ka ng budget para sa pagpagawa ng kalsada. So, 'di ba, alam niyo na regardless kung with quality or poor quality, basta magamit yung budget, ma-serve yung purpose, makapagpagawa ng kalsada, okay na yun. So it serves an authority for you to use the budget for the infrastructure. But of course, that is just an assumption. Na regardless of the quality, normally, kino-consider pa rin yung quality. Kaya lang may mga timing difference yan eh. Halimbawa, inassume mo na yung cost ng semento is only say 5,000. Tapos nung na-release yung budget, nag 6,000 na, so hirap ka nang bumili ng materials mo. Medyo hahanap ka ngayon ng medyo lower than the quality. Kaya nagkakaroon ng difference. But again, the budget does not serve as a control, but rather an authorization. And then for international operation, if you have a parent company abroad at they have their own way of doing the budget, hindi ka pwedeng maiba. Kung paano sila nagbabudget, ganun din yung susundin mo. Kahit pa meron kang law na kailangang sundin sa bansa kung saan ka nag-ooperate, yung budgeting means nila or purpose nila or ways nila, yun pa rin ang susundin mo, yung nasa parent mo. Okay, next are alternative approach in budgeting, zero-based, activity-based, and Kaizen. Sa zero-based, normally wala kang ginagawang basihan. Basta ganyan sa ganyan sa government, zero-based. Walang base kung saan mo i-multiply yung amount. Basta you started from nothing, and then just to put an amount, and then you just have to justify that that amount is actually needed for the operation. So pagka ganyan ang budgeting approach mo, dapat medyo strict ka because dahil wala kang naging basihan or you started at a zero base, para maiwasan mo yung overspending or misuse of funds mo, medyo maghihigpit ka kapag ka zero-based budgeting ang ginagamit mo. And then activity-based, ito naman, meron kang kino-consider na mga basihan ng budget. And that base is activity-based or activities. Say for example, sa isang manufacturing company, ang gagamitin mong pag-budget ng overhead mo, aside from yung discussion natin kanina na either normal or actual, meron ka pang kino-consider na activities within that operation. Say, set up time, machine time, and other activities. Finishing, ano pa yung mga other activities? Grinding or other activities inside the manufacturing. Doon mo i-base yung iyong budget. Kasi, I'm not sure kung na-discuss ko sa inyo yung activity-based costing, na yung ating overhead, sometimes, ang base nun is yung labor, di ba? Labor time and labor cost. But there will be a time na hindi na siya nagiging relevant because with the introductions of machineries and equipment, instead na sa labor mo i-base yung overhead mo, doon na sa machineries. Kasi kumukonti na yung labor mo dahil nga doon sa machineries, then nagiging irrelevant na yung labor cost, yung overhead cost mo. And therefore, we need to base it to activities. And then last is yung Kaizen budgeting. This is the Japanese term for a continuous improvement. So, sa budgeting na to, hindi rin fix yan. Kapag merong nakitang needs to improve on other parts of the operation, they will have to change the budget and add kung ano man yung kailangan idagdag sa budget. So, itong Kaizen is a little bit more flexible than the other budgets. Okay. Ethical issues. Like I've said, yung purpose ng budget could either be a control measure or a authorization measure. Kaya napaka-importante na meron kang mataas na ethics or yung values mo is mataas whenever you prepare a budget. Kasi baka maya mag-i-insert ka ng mga budget na hindi naman kailangan. Pag nalagyan mo yon, kung not for profit yung ginagawa mo ng budget, this may be used as an authorization for them to use that funds kahit pa hindi naman talaga kailangan. So merong mga ethical issues doon. Or tinaasan mo yung budget kasi kapartido mo yung nilalagyan mo yung budget, so hindi na naman tama yun. Kasi ang gagawin nun, dahil nilagay mo yun doon, di gagamitin niya yun kahit pa hindi naman kailangan. So sobra-sobra yung nilalagay mo. Okay, so taasan natin ang ating mga values. Ano ba ang purpose kasi? Bakit tayo nag-budgeting? Like I've said, control and authorization. Pero actually, it is for the congruence of our goals. Dapat ma-achieve natin sabay-sabay yung goals natin with consistency. Kasi kung hindi, yung isang department, nilagyan mo ng budget, yung isang department wala, paano naman tayo mag-work as an organization? So we have to prepare our budget for the purposes of achieving a common goal. And then, itong authoritative versus participative budgeting, both of these budgeting techniques have their own advantage and disadvantages. Pagka authoritative, wala kang, at ikaw yung nasa ilalim, wala kang magagawa pag sinabi ng taas na yan lang ang budget mo. Just what like had happened to, ano bang department yun? Human rights, right? Binigyan sila ng piso na budget. So, wala siya magagawa. That's an authoritative budgeting. Or, kung authoritative naman, ang maging advantage naman nun, hindi ka na mag-iisip. Bahala kayo dyan. Kung anong bigay nyo, yun na yun. So, hindi ka medyo mahirapan. Kaya lang, kung ano yung naibigay, yun lang. Doon naman sa participative, ang advantage naman yan, yun, meron kang say kung magkano ang gusto mong maging budget sa department mo o sa lugar mo. Ang disadvantage nga lang nun, that will be your responsibility if you were able to provide a budget na hindi tama, that's your responsibility. Hanggang dun ka lang. Kasi yun ang sinabi mo Plus, ang magiging complication pa niyan, dahil participative, hihintayin nyo lahat. Hanggat wala yung iba, hindi mabubuo yung budget natin. Kailangan lahat meron. Ang bilis naman. So that is strategy and master budget.